And we are back with another episode of Upward and Onward, where we are focused on creativity, entrepreneurship, and business. And I have a question for you guys out there. Does anybody have a special event coming up, maybe an anniversary, a wedding, and you're looking for someone to capture the moment? Let me introduce you to Gianna Palazzo. She has her own photography and media company, and she's ready to capture the moment for you. Welcome, Gianna.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice to see you, and thanks for sitting in the seat. I know we tried to get this going a couple times and had to cancel, but finally made it happen.
Yep, finally here.
Finally here. Let's go. I think what will be helpful for some of the people who are listening and watching is just to hear about maybe who you are and your background.
Yeah, cool. So my name's Gianna.
Yeah.
I started doing videography actually back in 2019. So how I kind of got into photography was my old cheerleading coach from UMass. I went there freshman year of college.
Okay.
She actually reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I love all the recruitment videos you're making for your sorority in college. Do you want to shoot my wedding?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I shot her wedding. And from there, I started doing like wedding videos and then kind of switched to photography. 2020, I had like an airport wedding. That was like my first wedding I ever did photography. The bride flew in on a plane.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, flew in, had like a little red carpet for her ceremony.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it was my first wedding, and then I've been doing wedding photography ever since.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. So you were shooting some recruitment videos for your sorority, and that's how this kind of all started?
Yeah.
I see. And you went to Rhode Island College, right?
Yeah, so I went to UMass. I transferred a million times.
Okay, yeah. So
I went to UMass Dartmouth my freshman year of college.
Okay.
For an art degree.
Gotcha.
And then I switched to University of South Carolina my sophomore year fall semester.
Okay.
Just didn't like love it. It's a huge campus. It's awesome. I think if I started as a freshman, it would have been way better.
Yeah.
But starting as a sophomore, like you have to live off campus, and I just didn't really get a chance to meet people.
Yeah.
So I left there, and we had like the great historic floods.
Oh, that's
that
right.
year. Yeah.
That's right.
So like my apartment flooded, like everything was like shut down. It was insane.
That sounds bizarre.
Yeah. So not a great time to be there. But yeah, so I left that December, came home, and went to Rick.
Nice. That's really cool. And it sounds like Rick was a great spot for you because you were able to kind of flourish and start this passion for photography, which transpired into what you're doing now.
Yeah. Yeah. When I graduated high school, I was definitely like, I'm not going to go to Rick. Like everyone goes there. Yeah. And then I ended up there, and it was honestly like the best decision. So
that's awesome.
Worked out.
So now, would you say that like you were drawn to art like earlier than college? Would you say like while you were a child or like growing up, you were drawing, painting, taking pictures of certain things or anything like that? Yeah.
So I'm also a teacher. So besides doing photography, I think when I was little, I had like a chalkboard wall and like I've always wanted to like teach, but I didn't really know like what my way into the schools would be.
Yeah.
Until probably like middle school. I mean, I did take a lot of art classes elementary school.
Yep.
But middle school and then high school, I took like every single art class you could teach.
Really?
Or you could take. And then my high school art teachers, we just like really bonded and connected. And they were like, you need to be an art teacher.
Yes.
So yeah, then I went for that. But photography, I kind of just started getting into like just taking random pictures with like your phone.
Yeah.
And then I just honestly didn't really get like super, super into it until probably COVID.
Yeah.
Because you had time to like branch out and do all of that. But yeah, definitely since I was little, I feel like I've always had like a creative side.
Nice. I believe it. Yeah, I can totally see it. And I can see it in your work too. So that's really cool how you brought that passion and that love from being a child. And even, you know, when you were you were doing the recruitment videos for college and you scaled it into a business.
Yeah. I think too, like,
yes.
A big thing too with that is like doing videos, like musicality, like putting like certain like clips to the music.
Yeah.
And I've been like a dancer my whole life.
Okay.
So I think that also has to do with it. Like,
yeah,
I just like understand kind of how music works from like dancing all the time.
That's right.
So doing like videography was kind of also like leading just up into that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So after college, you became a digital arts and media teacher. Is that correct?
Yep.
Cool. So what was the inspiration behind that, and like, how'd you get started?
So funny story.
Oh yeah.
I actually graduated. So I graduated Rick in 2019 with a degree in ceramics and a degree in art ed. And I took like 2 photography classes at that point. So I graduated. I went on like 10 different interviews. Didn't get any of the jobs. I was, of course, like traveling all summer. So I missed a bunch of interviews. Couldn't do them. And then I was working like nationals for like a dance competition. So when I came back home, I had one interview with a district, and I got the job, which was wild, in like July, probably 2019.
Damn.
So it was kind of like late into the summer. So like all my other friends had gotten jobs, and I was like, I'm just waiting for mine. And I got a job in like a great district. It was just an art teacher job.
Interesting.
So I had no idea it was going to be digital art until I had asked the principal, and I was like, okay, like what am I teaching? Is it like regular art or whatever? And he's like, oh, it's digital art. And I was like, okay, what's digital art? And he's like, whatever you want it to be. I was like, all right, cool. So obviously I didn't go to school for that at all.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of like start from scratch, come up with the whole curriculum by myself. I went to like another district and like watched like another teacher, see how she kind of taught it. Then COVID happened and everyone was kind of teaching digital art.
Yeah.
So that was huge because I got a lot of lessons from that.
Definitely.
But yeah, I love doing that too because it's also like social media like kind of gets brought into digital art and like graphic design.
True.
Which I also do on the side, of course.
Nice.
So yeah, it's been fun teaching that.
I believe it. So that's super cool that you got the job, and I'm happy for you because that really was maybe your starting point, right?
Yeah.
And then blossomed into other things. But I'm curious, as you became a digital arts and media teacher, were there certain tools or software that like the kids would use when you gave them assignments?
Yeah. So a lot of the times, a lot of the stuff we would use would be free, just because like as a middle school student, I wanted them to be able to like go home and actually still be able to use the software that we used in class.
Yeah.
So like Canva.com, everyone uses it for like social media. So
yeah,
great website. All the kids get it for free. All students get that website for free, and you get like all the premium features, which is awesome. So Canva, Google Draw is like another one that was super easy to use. We did just get a bunch of iPads, like a class set this year, which is amazing. And Apple Pencils, which is huge.
That's clutch.
But I didn't get to use them. So
sadness.
I know they came in and we were kind of like waiting for stuff. And then by the time they came in, we were already like done with that unit.
Okay.
And then we just didn't have time to get to it. But
it's too bad.
Yeah.
Well,
next time.
In your next teaching gig, right? Yeah. Then you'll do it.
Maybe down the road.
Down the road. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. Big maybe.
That's so funny. So I'm curious, you give a child an assignment and, you know, even with them being maybe at home because it was during a pandemic.
Yeah, that was wild.
Wild.
Yep.
How do you keep them engaged? Like, how do you make it fun for them? Was there something that you did to like make it collaborative? Like they could pair up with somebody or anything like that?
So we do like a lot of group projects. I teach 2 classes. The digital art class is more like graphic design photography. And then the media class is actually a video-based class.
Oh, cool.
So that class is all like collaboration. There's not many like independent projects. So they do a lot of group work in that class. The digital art class is a little bit more independent.
Yeah.
But I always let them, like to keep them engaged, obviously videos. They love watching videos. I always let them pick their subject so they can honestly pick whatever they want. I'll say like, here's the tools. But like I hate when people are like, we're going to make a butterfly and they're all going to be purple and this is what they're going to look like. So
boring.
Definitely giving them like their own creative freedom to do what they want. And that class is huge. But yeah, during COVID, it was wild trying to keep them engaged, like teaching virtually.
I imagine.
It was insane.
I imagine like you've seen some things like kids on video and they're like either like asleep or like just doing whatever else besides paying attention to the class. That's so funny.
Yeah, it was a wild time.
So like did any of the kids ever like unmute and like, or were unmuted and you heard something that you shouldn't have heard or something?
Yeah, they would do it all the time, honestly. They would like mute or like not know that they were muted and like try to talk or like unmute and it was just like a game going on. Texting on their phones.
Oh, that's funny. So like I'm thinking about you being a teacher and giving these kids a lot of assignments. Was there anything that you remember that was like, wow, that actually was really cool and like I enjoyed like us working on that?
So my favorite project that we do is a Shark Tank themed project.
Ooh.
So they get in like little groups of 4 to 6-ish.
Okay.
And they have to come up with like a business.
That's so cool.
So yeah, so that's my favorite project. It's like huge. We get a bunch of sponsors for it.
Okay.
I actually just picked up their t-shirts today from JNR Marketing. Shout out. They printed the t-shirts for the kids that won, which was really cool. So they have all their like logos.
Nice.
Yeah, but they get in groups and then they come up with like a business idea.
Okay.
So it's really tough getting like 11 to 14-year-olds to think in that mindset.
Yeah.
So we start off with like what is something we all have in common or like a common problem that we need to solve.
I see.
Yeah, so they've come up with crazy things. One of my favorite was like Velcros. I think it was last year. They came out with like a Velcro clothing brand.
Interesting.
That had napkins.
Interesting.
Because you always wipe your hands on your pants when you're eating. So they had napkins that just Velcroed and you like took them off.
Ooh,
which
I
was
like
smart.
That.
Yeah. So that was a really good one. This past year, the group that won was Porta Basket.
Okay.
So they came up with like a portable basketball hoop.
Oh, wow.
They were like all played basketball in this group.
Okay.
But it was a portable basketball hoop that like folded up and there was a ball inside of it that like deflated. It was heavy. It was like 40 to 50 pounds.
Okay.
But it was cool just for them to be able to like carry it around.
Yeah.
But what really sold their group was like they have to come up with like their slogan, their brand. Like we learned all about like colors, like the psychology of color and like different fonts, and, like when you use them, branding, all of that. So like their branding was amazing. Like they had all the right colors to use. They knew why they were using them. They had the fonts like that they needed. And they created like a whole brand.
Wow.
So yeah, they ended up, we have 8 winners because I have 8 classes.
Okay.
And they went on to the Shark Tank finals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the final round, and then they won.
Wow.
So yeah, we have teachers like volunteer as sharks, and they come in and we ask them questions, and one kid or like one group gets a deal, and then that one group won.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing about your teaching experience and all the cool things that you did as a teacher and some of the fun that the kids had. So you have something new that you're embarking on full time, right?
Yes.
What's that?
So I just recently resigned actually from teaching, which is huge. I'm super, super excited. So I'm going full time with my photography business, actually in like 10 days when the school year ends.
Okay.
Yeah. Counting it down.
Counting down.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm super excited. Honestly, it was a huge decision to be able to make, just because I obviously went to school for like 5 years and like my whole life.
Yeah.
So like not going back to school in September is going to be kind of crazy because like we've been going back to school since kindergarten.
That's right.
So it's going to be really weird. But my business just kind of needed room to grow, and it was just kind of time to do it. Last year was like wild, and I was just like so busy and like multitasking all the time. Like I'd be coming home from work and like editing until like midnight and like doing social media for companies until midnight, and then working the next day like 7 to 3, coming home doing the same thing. So, and I only had 4 weddings last year, which was wild.
Only 4? Only 4. That sounds like couple weddings.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
only 4 though. It's not huge.
Oh,
so this year I already have 15.
Holy moly.
Yeah, for 2023 and like the few upcoming months.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
So that was kind of my big decision. I was like, if I hit 15 weddings, realistically that's like 3 times of what I did last year, and like last year was already crazy. So like I just physically can't do both anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are you looking for anyone to come out there and shoot some pictures of people? And I might be hitting up the open bar or something. In the meantime, that's
Wedding
a thing.
Crashers.
Is that a thing? Like
Wedding Crashers?
Well, Wedding Crashers, yes, but like say you're the photographer and you go to a wedding, like, you know, there's an open bar. Can you hit it up?
It definitely depends.
Okay.
It depends on the couple and like what they say.
Okay, totally fair.
Usually I won't drink, honestly, at a wedding until the end of the night.
Yeah. You stay professional.
Yeah, you got to be professional. You got to be in the moment.
Okay. All right, folks at home, if you're thinking about starting your own photography business, do not go to the open bar until
later.
Yes.
I've had second photographers at the bar.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, one of my good friends. This is funny.
Interesting. That sounds fun.
Yeah, there was like a big moment. I was like, oh my God, where is he? And he's like at the bar talking to the bartender. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing, man?
I got the moment, but
good
he was not there. Yeah.
Interesting. So funny.
Gotta be on the game.
Yes. So I'm curious. What do you use for like editing software and what cameras you use? I feel like people maybe generally know that like you have different lenses and things of that nature, but can you talk a little bit about like maybe some different lenses that you use and why?
Yeah. So honestly, when I first started getting into photography, I had like absolutely no idea. I think I had like a Nikon like 3500 or 2500.
Okay.
So just like very basic, like beginner starter camera. I had like a lens kit camera, like an 18 to 55 something. I don't even know. It was like wicked basic. Wicked by Rhode Island.
Wicked. Oh,
wicked.
God.
So from there, I went from that camera to like a D7500. It's like a little bit of an upgrade, just a little bit of a nicer body. I got like a few lenses that were a little bit nicer. Still didn't super know what I was doing. Was like shooting on auto, which is like you don't have any control of your camera at that point.
Yep.
Switched. I went to Utah actually that August and like switched to like aperture priority mode.
Interesting.
Which is like you control your aperture, but then the shutter just kind of does its thing based on what you pick. So I just was like, okay, like I know I can do it and like I understand it because I took film photography in college.
I see.
So like to do film, you have to kind of understand like your aperture, your ISO, your shutter speed, and like all of that, and like figure out this is actually how your camera's taking a picture. I love film, but
I can tell.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Which is awesome.
But yeah, so that I like knew how to do it, but I was like, I just don't know if I can do it quick enough yet.
I see.
So I was like, I don't want to like miss something because I'm like, I have the wrong settings.
That's right.
Yeah. So it took a while for me to actually like fully switch and be like, okay, I'm gonna like do this full manual and go for it. But I started taking my business seriously. I was like, I need to like also take this seriously. So I ended up there's a photographer, Cassidy Lynn. She's amazing.
Okay.
She does like a bunch of courses. So I took a course with her, which was great. And she was like, you just need to do it.
Yeah.
And she's like, just go for it. So I just went for it and never turned back. It's great. It's so easy. But yeah, so camera wise, I have a Sony A7 IV, which is wicked nice. I keep saying wicked. Sony A7 IV is awesome, and I have a Sony A7 III as a backup.
Nice.
Yeah, so the A7 IV is beautiful. It's just a very, very nice camera. It has like eye focusing and eye tracking. It's like a touch screen on the back. It's just a very nice camera. I love it.
Interesting.
A7 III is also great. It's just like a little bit of like a lesser version, of the camera. But just a backup.
Okay.
Or like if I'm doing a ceremony, I'll have both with like different lenses. So for lenses, for different things, so like a 35 millimeter lens, you have like your prime lenses.
Okay.
And then you have like your zoom lenses.
Okay.
So your prime lenses are like you can't zoom,
Interesting.
basically. But they have a lower aperture, so you can get like more of that like blurry background.
Oh, okay. Really cool. So that's how it's done. Now I see. Okay.
Yep. So it's done by your aperture. So like portrait mode on your iPhone.
Yeah.
That's what it's doing. It's dropping your aperture down.
I see.
So it's not as much as in focus.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
Very little
interesting.
lesson.
Yes.
This is how I teach photography to the kids, honestly. Like, who has an iPhone? Okay.
Yeah.
This is how you do it.
Wow.
But yeah, so a 35 is like awesome for portraits. So I use, and every photographer would say that, like your 35 never really comes off your camera.
Okay.
For portraits, that's awesome. I have a 50 millimeter lens also that I love for portraits.
Okay.
You just have to stand further away.
I see.
So it's a little bit like if I'm doing a beach photo shoot or like a grad photo shoot, that's awesome. But like a wedding, if you're like in a hotel room, can't do that.
Yeah.
Too tight. I have a bunch of other lenses, but the only other one that I ever use is a 24-70 lens. So it is a zoom lens, but it's like a prime aperture. So like the aperture doesn't change on it.
I see. Okay.
So it's a 2.8 and it doesn't like most zoom lenses. If you zoom in, it goes to like a 5.6, which like isn't ideal for photography. But this one like stays at a 2.8.
I see. So a 2.8, a 5.6.
I know.
What exactly are we talking when we're saying these numbers?
Okay, so like a 2.5 is like honestly a lot of photographers it super depends on like how you shoot, what your style is, what your preference is. If I'm shooting a couple, I'll do like a 2.5, a 2.2 aperture.
Okay.
So it's just like how much you want in focus.
Okay.
Depending on like how close you are.
Okay.
So like if I'm taking a picture of you, that's totally fine. If I wanted to picture like way far, I'd have to have like a higher aperture, like a higher number.
Okay.
To get that in focus.
Okay.
Or like if it's like a big group shot, like you have to make sure like everyone's like kind of in the same plane to make sure they're all in focus. But yeah, numbers wise, it's just like preference. But like 2.2, 2.5 is kind of like my standard of like, I like seeing the background in pictures. Like I don't like when it's like super, super blurry and like it looks very like professional photo.
That's
like,
fair.
Yeah, like I like so you can still kind of see what's happening and like, I don't know, it's just my style.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are kind of like the two apertures I'll usually use. If it's like a family or something, maybe I'll go up a little bit. But usually that's where I'm at, usually my 35. If I'm doing a wedding ceremony, 35 is great if I'm super close, but I'm never that close during a ceremony.
Why do you just let them kind of do their thing?
I hate being in people's faces.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, especially at a wedding, I'm like, it's your day, and like you hired me to capture it. And I do more like documentary styles. Like I'm there to like document everything that's happening.
Yeah.
Like I don't do super posy, like pictures and
Yeah.
hey, hold hands, smile, look at me. Like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
really do that because I feel like it's awkward, staged.
Yep.
It's more like those little in between moments and like just telling someone to like do some sort of movement and like capturing that. So like that lens is great for when it's just like a standard shoot. But if it's like a wedding, I'm never gonna be like that close until it's your portrait's time.
That's fair.
Like at a ceremony, like
Yeah.
I'm in the back and like that lens is like pretty close to you, but not super, super close.
I see.
Yeah.
Really cool. Wow. So
a lot of information.
But I think what we learned today is aperture.
A little lesson. Aperture.
Yes, aperture.
Yeah.
And aperture is more or less the focus of the background in the photo.
Yep.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I did not know that. And I hope if you didn't know that before.
A photography lesson.
Yes, you got a photography lesson for free.
Yep.
You just have to send your bank information and send it over to Gianna and she'll process
my
the
Venmo.
payment.
Yep.
Yes, Venmo.
Yeah,
exactly.
Venmo.
Perfect. Cool. So I'm curious. Say someone is having a really special occasion and they call you up. They say, hey, Gianna, I'm having a wedding. What are the first questions that you ask them? Like, is there a creative process that goes behind you capturing their moments? And like,
Yeah. So whenever someone reaches out, I have like a contact form. So like get all their information. And like the big question I ask is kind of like, what's your vibe for the day? So like, what are you expecting out of your wedding? Like, is it more like chill, laid back, backyard wedding? Is it like this huge, crazy wedding with like 200 plus people and like you're already stressed about it?
Yeah.
So kind of just like getting the vibe of the day. My big thing is always before I actually book with someone, like jumping on a phone call, having a conversation, they hear your voice. It's super different. And then I always try to do engagement photos with the couple before their wedding.
That's cool. I like that.
Just so you get to meet, you get comfortable, and then like on your wedding day, it can be like, oh, like do the twisty hand thing. And they're like, oh, okay, I know what you mean.
They know,
Yeah, so it's just easier.
Wait, what's a twisty hand thing? You can't just go around saying the twisty hand thing.
There's a bunch of twisty hand things.
Yes.
You can do like a twisty hand with like your rings. Like there's like a pinky shot.
Okay. Yeah.
There's like you hold someone's arm like when you're walking, like holding hands.
Okay.
A lot of twisty hand things. But,
very nice. Very nice. When I thought of twisty hands, I thought of the thing that the sorority girls do, which is like, I don't know how it even I wouldn't
funny.
even but
no, not that twisty hand.
Okay, not that twisty hands.
Different. Different twisty hands.
Okay.
I always try to do like engagement photos, just to get to know them.
Okay.
And then it's just like easier. You calm your nerves. And the big thing too with that is like I feel like some people are like, oh, I hate photos and like I hate taking pictures. Like I never want to take these.
Yeah.
Like I know my boyfriend's like the same way. Like he hates taking photos.
Yeah.
So like our first time we did our first photo shoot, like he like hated it. Hated taking the pictures. And then you saw how cute they came out and I was like, okay, I love these.
Yeah, they look great.
Yeah,
from what I saw.
Yes. So then we did a second photo shoot, way easier.
Okay.
Love doing them. And like he knew everything that we were doing. Like I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. And
did he know the twisty hands?
He did. He knew the twisty hands. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Oh yeah. So yeah, like I just think that's why I do engagement photos. Also because then you see them and you're like, oh, okay, like you feel wicked awkward and you're like, oh, like this is gonna be so weird. And then you see the photo and you're like, oh, we actually don't look awkward.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, so definitely I always like prioritize doing engagement photos first for that reason.
Interesting.
And really I know what you look like when I like show up. You know it's me. So.
Definitely makes sense. Really cool. So I'm curious. There must have been a time or two that things have gotten a little challenging while you're out in the field trying to capture the moment, whether if it's the weather or if it's someone who's maybe walking by or something. Have you had anything like that that's happened to you?
Yeah. So I had a wedding actually in Cape Cod this past October.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful venue. Awesome couple. Love them. And it downpoured just the wedding day. It was a hurricane. I think it was like hurricane like it might start with an E. I don't remember. But it downpoured the entire day.
Wow.
And the rest of the week, beautiful. Just that one day until 6 p.m., which was sunset, downpoured.
That's
so yeah, I always feel so bad when it's going to rain on like, especially a wedding day because you can't reschedule.
That's right.
But you just make the best of it. And honestly, like we got clear umbrellas. I brought those for them. And like we took photos. There was like an archway. So like I was standing in the downpour.
Oh, you were in the rain.
With like the umbrella like jammed into my ribs,
That's
like
so
holding
funny.
my camera. Yeah. But we made it work. I mean, I definitely got pretty soaked that day, but that worked out.
Yeah.
They got beautiful photos like under the archway and like no one got super soaked.
Nice.
It kind of cleared up a little bit before the ceremony. So like when she walked out, she didn't get soaked either, which was cool.
That's helpful.
And then And then kind of right before sunset, we had a moment to go outside. We still had the umbrellas, but it wasn't like raining, but it was like pouring out.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so unfortunate.
Oh yeah. But that's the big thing is like a lot of people, whenever they book with me, like crazy stuff happens. Your wedding's late. You're running late to your ceremony. Like no wedding like ever goes perfectly to plan.
That's fair.
Unless like you're just ahead of the game for some reason, which like never happens.
Never, yeah.
But my big thing is just always like it's your wedding day. The wedding doesn't start until you're ready. So like they literally can't do it without you.
Everyone's here for you.
Yeah, like they can't start the wedding without you. So like if you're late, it's okay.
It's fine.
But yeah, that's been a huge thing. It's like even on like that wedding day, a few of the people were like, "How like are you so calm?"
Yeah.
And like because it's raining, it is what it is, and like we're gonna make it work. We're still gonna get the photos, and like I had her send pictures to me of like the outside area before. So like okay, like we could probably go here. Like I was prepared. I had my rain jacket. I had my umbrella.
The
like
boots.
had my rain gear. Oh yeah, I had the boots. Like was ready to go.
There you go.
So definitely just like preparing for it. But staying calm is a huge thing. Like I would like hate if someone was being like super stressful and was like, we gotta go. Like, I would hate that.
Yeah.
So I'm like very like calm, cool, relaxed on your wedding day. And
nice.
I feel like I'm always like that.
I can tell. Yeah.
Even if I'm like, oh my God, I'm like so stressed. I'm like, we're cool.
We're going to keep it chill.
No one
will know.
We're going to be chill.
No one knows.
Yeah.
That's awesome. If you guys are out there and you are thinking about how you can capture the moment for a special event coming up and your vibe is chill, calm, cool. Yes. Gianna Palazzo is here to help you out. So I'm going to drop her Instagram here. And you guys should go check it out. But thank you for sharing about some of the challenging experiences.
Of course.
Now let's go to something maybe a little more positive and talk about if you've had a favorite shoot or maybe something that was really special to you.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Honestly, like every wedding that I do or like every engagement photo shoot, I love like doing all photos, but honestly, like engagements, couples, proposals, and like weddings obviously are like the big ones for me. I did like a recent engagement photo shoot with a couple at Napatri Beach in Westerly.
Nice.
And that's like the most beautiful photos. Like we had like the hazy sunset. Those photos are beautiful and like everyone like raves over them every time I post them, which is so funny.
I see them all the time. They look great.
Thank you. Yeah. But yeah, I have their wedding coming up this year, which will be fun. But my big thing is just honestly, I love any shoot where the couple or like whoever I'm working with is like, thank you so much. Like that was so fun. Like we thought it was gonna be so awkward. And it was like way fun. They're like, thank you for like making us do it.
Yes.
Like, of course. Like because some people are like, we don't really want to do it. Like
of course.
I like don't want to take the photos and they get there and it's just easy.
Yeah.
So I'm like definitely like that favorite photo
I mean, sorry, I don't want you to have anybody come back and be like, well, I thought I was the favorite.
No.
You know.
I think I have a lot of like ones I'm excited for coming up this year, to be honest. But favorite one, I would say like my first big wedding. Like I did that airport wedding, which was really cool back in like 2020.
Okay.
But I was still like super new. I had like a few weddings I did video, but my first like big wedding was this couple, Lauren and Alec. They're awesome. But they're like my first big couple, and it was cool with them because they only had like prom photos together.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I had taken their fall photos.
Okay.
And I was like very new. Like my editing, I go back and I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I had taken like fall photos of them just because they wanted like new photos.
Yep.
And then this is actually a good one too. So Alec wanted to propose to Lauren.
Okay.
And we couldn't really figure out like a good way to do it. And I was like, what if we set up like a styled like photo shoot? It's like, and I'll like do like a model call and like ask for like a couple to come to Block Island with me because he wanted to propose in Block Island. And I was like, and then I'll only reach out to Lauren.
Okay, perfect.
It's like, I'll like DM her and be like, hey, I want you to do this. Are you available?
Yes.
And he was like, okay, cool. And like Alec kind of helped come up with that idea too, which was awesome. Yeah. So we came up with like this styled shoot and we went to Block Island for the day. And we got to the bluffs. And then I was like, okay, we're going to do like this pose, this pose, this pose. And like, this is my first proposal. So I wasn't really thinking like, I need to come up with a pose where they're not looking at each other for him to be able to get down on me.
Because he needs to, get down.
So it happened. He like looks at me and I'm like, okay. So I was like, all right, like, let's do one, like going back to back, like holding hands. And I was like, all right, like then like drop your hands, like kind of move apart a little bit. I was like, look back at each other. I was like, okay, like look opposite ways. So, like don't look at each other.
Smart.
Yeah. And then he got down, he like gave me a thumbs up. I'm like,
Yeah.
Like you got this.
You got this.
Yeah.
Don't mess this up.
So he got down on one knee. Obviously, Lauren turned around, was like super excited, and yeah, they got engaged that day, which is cool.
So
and then I did their wedding.
Hmm.
That proposal was like beautiful, but that was a cool moment because I did like their fall photos.
That's right.
Then we did the proposal, and then I did their wedding
Wow.
this past June.
Wow.
Yeah,
so
it's cool like kind of seeing like people like follow through and like being like their photographer for life is definitely a big thing.
Wow, for life.
For life.
For life, too.
Yes.
Okay,
Always
Alec
here.
and Lauren, you guys do not have the option to get another photographer.
No.
Gianna's here for life.
Oh, yeah. They know. I took their holiday photos this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I got to figure out what photos I can have taken of me and my person, Katie.
Yeah, definitely.
My girl, Katie. But thank you, Gianna, for sharing about that. So we're talking about some of the things that have happened in the past, but looking forward to the future.
Mm-hmm.
What excites you about your media and art company?
Definitely going full time.
Yes.
That's huge. I'm super excited just to be able to like actually like advertise more, brand more, get out there, make reels and like do silly things just to actually like fully get into it and like meet other creatives. I can like take on more now, do more weddings. So I'm definitely excited. I have so many weddings coming up this year.
15? Wait,
15.
like in the span of how long? Because like it's June now.
Yeah, so wedding season, my first wedding, I actually had an elopement in New Hampshire, Lake Winnipesaukee, 2 weekends ago now.
Really cool.
Yeah, beautiful. Love elopements.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one, I had an elopement too in like April. But going forward, I think not this weekend, next weekend starts my wedding season.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's going to be a grind. Or?
Yeah. Well, I have 4 weddings in June. I don't have any in July because I took the month of July off thinking I'd be teaching still.
Oh, that's right.
And was like, okay, I need a month to just like literally have summer, like do no work. So I was like, I'm going to be working like crazy all year. Mm-hmm. So I don't have any weddings, but I have a bunch of photo shoots now.
Nice.
And then August is wedding season. September, October is wild with weddings.
Really?
Yeah, and then it ends in November.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see all the photos that you're going to post. And I know that that people out there who maybe haven't seen Gianna's Instagram yet, if you go there, check it out. You can see a ton of different moments that people have captured and will stay there for life. And really, I look at it and I'm like, wow, Gianna's doing a great job and she needs to be highlighted. You know, people need to know about what she's doing. And I hope that if you have something coming up, you can reach out to her. Really, really cool. I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you.
Of course. And I'm curious, now that we've talked about work, we've talked about your college experience and growing up, what do you like to do in your free time?
That's a great
Yes.
What free time?
Yes.
No, honestly, my free time, I love just like hanging out with friends and family. I have really bad FOMO, so I need to be at everything.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for me is like my schedule is like wild because I try to like fit everything in.
That's so funny.
But yeah, hang out with like friends, family, my boyfriend when he's home. But I snowboard all the time in the winter.
That's right.
So yeah, the winter is like crazy snowboarding season, which I'm so excited that I'm not teaching anymore because I can weekdays.
Oh, weekdays when not a lot of people are there.
Yep.
Perfect.
I don't have to go like on trips on like school vacations anymore.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be so nice.
I didn't even think
so
about
excited.
That.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, definitely snowboarding in the winter. In the summer, like hiking, going to the beach, hanging out with friends. So
let me ask you 3 questions.
Yes.
What's your favorite resort to go to for snowboarding?
Oh, good question. Okay, so snowbird in Utah.
That
absolute favorite resort. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Damn. That's really
so pretty.
Really cool.
Yeah. Snowbird, definitely top resort. And then the one here, I would say Magic Mountain.
Magic Mountain. Okay.
Yeah, it's like super low key mountain. It's like old school. There's 1 or 2 lifts that are usually running. It's like usually long lift lines, but it's so worth it. The terrain's really cool. It's in Vermont.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
any like local little mountain I like around here.
Yeah. So then you've said your favorite place to go snowboarding. Where is your favorite place to go hiking?
Good question. Probably New Hampshire.
Yeah.
There's just so many hikes up there.
Yeah, definitely.
So definitely New Hampshire. Any hikes?
Like North Conway area or like, what are we talking? Just New Hampshire.
Just New Hampshire, yeah. There's so many different places up there. Anywhere like up in New England is beautiful. And Utah. I'm also obsessed with Utah.
I can tell.
Yeah.
If we see Gianna living in Utah soon, we'll know why.
Yeah, definitely at some point I'll be out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Utah's really cool. There's so many hiking spots out there.
Why is
it's just cool? Like a whole nother world.
Interesting.
Like it's like northern Utah, you have all the mountains, like the snow, which is cool. And then like you have all like wildflower season, which is beautiful out there. I've never got to see that yet.
Okay.
You have like the salt flats, which is crazy.
Yeah,
and then like southern Utah is like Mars. Like it's like another planet.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's like super red rocks. There's like just like piles of sand that's like all layered, like purple, green, blues, reds.
Ooh, that's cool.
Which is like stuff you don't see around here.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah. Like New England's beautiful in its own sense. And like I don't think I could ever leave New England.
Yeah.
Just because it's perfect. You get all the seasons.
Yep.
But Utah is also just like, it's just really pretty.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what is your favorite beach to go to?
Good question. I'm usually always at Camp Cronin, honestly.
Yeah.
In Gansett.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
Gansett Beach is awesome, but it's just expensive.
It is. It's like, I don't even know how much nowadays. Like,
it's so expensive, just like step foot.
Literally, to get into the place is like $20, I think, or something. And like if you actually park in a parking lot, it's like another 20 or something. And like, all right, we're $40 in. We drove from wherever else. Yeah, and like that's
trying
gas.
Trying to find parking. It's insane.
We need to eat something.
Yeah. Come
on, Rhode Island, help us out. We like going to the beach. We want to enjoy it. Why don't you drop the price down a little bit?
I know. Most states don't charge for their beaches.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's just us that we charge a good amount.
Come on. Let's do better.
Little state.
I know. We're a little state too.
I know. But yeah, Camp Cronin, it's free. It doesn't have bathrooms, so that's the big downfall.
Ooh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But I like going there just like at night and like watching sunset.
Yeah, it's a great spot.
Yeah.
Really cool. Thanks for sharing about all the things you like to do in your free time. Yeah. And I'm curious. So as you've grown in your career and in life, has there been like a role model or someone who's inspired you and you've looked up to?
Good question.
Yeah.
So definitely with teaching, my like 2 high school art teachers were like a huge influence on me for that. Going forward with photography, I mean, there's so many photographers that like I look up to. Like definitely Cassidy Lynn's a really cool one. She just helped me a lot and like gave me kind of confidence when I was learning. Like her podcasts are awesome too to listen to. Like I try to listen to them when I'm flying. It's just about like business and kind of getting out there.
What's her name again?
Cassidy Lynn.
Cassidy Lynn.
Yeah, she's really cool. She's a good one. There's a bunch of other photographers that I follow on Instagram, but honestly, just like I'm trying to think like an influence with that. I think that was kind of just me being like, I'm just going to do it.
Just do it. Send it.
I just like figured that out on my own, like found like other photographers, but like a community.
Yeah.
So definitely like I've made a good amount of friends that are in photography now. So that's been cool to kind of branch out in that sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, like other life stuff. I feel like, I don't know, I can't remember where I saw this, but someone always said that it's like everything you do is like a mosaic of someone else, which is really cool to think about. Because it is like everything you do, like someone else kind of taught you or you learned or saw someone else do. And that's why you do it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And that's not a bad thing at all. I think, it's a great thing. And hopefully, well, I know that you've had an influence on some of the kids you've taught, and they probably will resemble some of you in their work that they do in the future. And if anyone ever sees this who was a student of Gianna Palazzo's and you go on to do something great, I hope that I hope that you let her know and you think of her when you do those things. And
come to me for your grad photos.
Exactly.
They already asked me that the other day. They're like, are you going to be a photographer in 2027? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, we're going to come to you for our grad photos.
Actually, yes, I will
like, okay, cool.
Yeah, really cool. So thank you for sharing about some of the people who have inspired you and been a role model to you. I'm curious for people out there who are listening to this podcast and think to themselves, wow, Gianna has scaled her own business, like a photography business, and I want to do the same thing. Are there some tools or resources that you would recommend for them to check out if they're just getting started? Yeah,
good question. So definitely finding someone like in your area that's local that can help you kind of get started and that's willing to kind of build that community with you. So there's definitely a few photographers that are like in like the Smithfield area that I reached out to and like was like, I've always followed you. Like, how did you get like so huge in photography? And it's just like the little things with the business. Like you don't think of like your taxes and like your insurance and starting your LLC and like all of that. Like I just had no idea where to even start. So definitely like reaching out to people in your area is a huge one just to get started. Instagram is like most of my leads are either word of mouth or Instagram, which is the craziest thing.
Yeah.
I just think as like millennials, that's like our generation. Like we just go to Instagram.
We do.
So, and like, I don't know. I don't think you're looking for a wedding photographer on TikTok. Maybe.
Probably not, but maybe.
But Instagram, I mean, I know my friends, they found their wedding photographers on Instagram.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I don't know what they're searching, but a lot of people just find me on Instagram, which is really funny.
That is awesome.
So yeah, definitely just advertising yourself on there, joining like local groups, going to events, networking, getting to know people, and just like posting consistently.
Yeah.
And even if you're starting off, just having your friends, like asking them to take free photos, even doing like discounted photos, giveaways, because you get a bunch of people to tag you.
Yeah.
Just kind of getting your name out there. And it's Rhode Island, such a small state. Your name can get out there so fast.
Exactly. You can make big waves in a smaller pond or state.
That was a good one.
Ocean. Because we're the ocean state.
Ocean state.
All right. Yes. So in a bigger
ocean.
waves in a smaller ocean. But we're going to go with the pond. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to do pond.
Yeah.
It's a pond. So you shared like maybe some ways to get started and like all that. But if you could give one piece of advice for that same person who's just really ready after hearing everything that you've done and how you've gone from being a teacher to resigning or retiring, better yet, and now starting full-time as your own employee or as your own boss.
Yeah. And employee.
What advice would you give to that person?
That's a great question. I would say just go for it. Honestly, I read something on Instagram the other day that was like, it takes courage to know when to quit. Which is huge. Like, I love teaching. It's been such a huge part of my life. I obviously am like sad to not use my degrees.
Yeah.
And like to be leaving my students. Like, I love my colleagues to death. Like, we vacation together. We hang out all the time.
Really cool.
We cried together when I told them I was resigning. But just knowing when it's like your time to just move on to something new. And like, even if you're not ready, just going for it, because like you're not going to hold back if you're really trying.
It's true.
Like, I could have taken like a year leave and came back. And like, for me, I was like, I just feel like in the back of my head, it's like, I don't trust myself to do it.
Yeah.
I was like, I just need to like have no crutch, go for it. Like, no backup plan. Like, I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
And if I fail, I fail. And then you move on to something else and it goes from there, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, just go for it. Just do it. Even if you're not ready, go for it. And you'll see cool things happen.
Hell yeah. I love that. Absolutely love that. Great mindset. And I sometimes say this as well when I'm closing. And I really want you guys to be encouraged, if you listen to this entire episode or watch it, to go for whatever you're thinking about.
Yeah.
If there's an idea in your head that you think is a good idea for you, some of the people around you, there's no time like now. I think you'll thank yourself. And if you fail, like Gianna said, you can just pivot to the next thing. So go for it. Thank you, Gianna. I appreciate you sitting in the seat, taking the time to share your story with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I can't wait to see all the cool things that you do. I want you to know that I'm proud of you. I hope that you have the best experiences with your photography business and really make people's moments as great as they should be. So thank you for all that you do. And
thank you.
Maybe we'll have you back if you're interested in a couple months.
It'd be really fun.
Cool.
I'm down. Give you the update on the full time.
Yes. We'll see how she's doing in 6 months. All right.
And the wedding season. That'll be a great time.
And the wedding season.
Yeah.
Perfect. Alrighty, guys. It was great talking to you, Gianna. This was a blast.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to sitting down with you again in a couple
me too.
months. Sweet. See you later, guys.